What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about some very impactful transfers that got picked up this offseason that I don't see very many people talking about. So these are some underrated transfer portal players that I think are going to have a big year this upcoming college basketball season. I'm ready to get started. Just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button if you guys enjoy. Ton of college basketball content here on the channel. Even though it is the offseason, we are still pushing out some content, and college basketball season will be here before we know it. So hit that subscribe button. And first up on this list, coming in here at number 10, is actually Nigel Pack. And Nigel Pack is actually kind of a bigger name in college basketball, but the reason he's underrated is because he only played 9 games last season for Miami. And he is a player that was the point guard of a Final Four team just a couple of years ago in 2023, where he helped lead the Miami Hurricanes along with guys like Isaiah Wong and Jordan Miller to the Final Four that year. So he is kind of a big name in college basketball, a recognizable name. But like I said, only played 9 games last year. Miami was horrible last season, and he entered the transfer portal to play in his final year. He is going to be a fifth-year senior this year from Miami to Oklahoma. So hopefully he can give Oklahoma a spark. Oklahoma, underrated team in the portal as well, picking up a few other players also. So look out for Oklahoma to maybe try to be competitive this year and get back to the NCAA tournament once again for back-to-back seasons, and hopefully make a little bit of a run this time. Next up at number 9, we got another player that kind of a big name entering the transfer portal for the second year in a row. Pretty recognizable, but kind of had a down year. You know, was a sophomore this past season at Indiana, and that's Myles Rice. Myles Rice at Washington State his freshman year, very sought after transfer in the portal because he had some really good stats and was playing great and was the best player on that Washington State team as a freshman, and he is a tall, lengthy point guard. So he was a hot commodity, and he went to Indiana. Indiana had a lot of hype heading into this upcoming season, and ultimately they disappointed, and Coach Woodson was fired. So Myles Rice averaged 10 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists as a sophomore. Not bad numbers whatsoever, but a down year from his freshman season. So I think that makes him a little bit more underrated coming into this offseason. He was like a top 15-ish, top 20-ish transfer pickup last year for Indiana. Now this year, I feel like he's, kind of on down the board, but I still think that potential is there, and he is heading to another Big Ten team in Maryland, and is going to be coached by Buzz Williams. So can he be that point guard that Buzz Williams wants to have on his team? Wade Taylor finally done in college hoops. Can Myles Rice be his guy there for the Terrapins? Next up at number 8, this transfer pickup is one of my favorite fits out of this entire transfer portal, and that is Nick Davidson going from Nevada over to the Clemson Tigers. This is a very good pickup for Clemson, in my opinion, because it just fits their system so well. I feel like he is a senior. Last year averaged 15 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game. As, a power forward center, he can kind of play both, and shot 37% from the field. He's about 6'8", 6'9", I believe. So he's going to be able to play the 4 or the 5. He's not the best rebounder for his position, but I think if Clemson can work with him, get that coaching working with him to become a better rebounder, I think that he could definitely be the starter at the 5 this year for Clemson. But even if he is playing the 4, you want to play 2 bigs, he can stretch the floor at 37% from the 3. So I think this is going to be a very good pickup here for Clemson and a very good fit. Nick Davidson, super good player at Nevada this past year. Next up at number 7, we got Jaden Edwards. I feel like a very good player, averaging 17 points per game, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. So not really too much more than a scorer, but a scorer that's going from Vanderbilt to Providence. I feel like Providence needs a prolific scorer like this, and wouldn't surprise me if he does average over 20 points per game this upcoming season. So I'm very excited for Providence. I hope that they can get back to the NCAA tournament this season. I think that Kim English is a really good coach. He hasn't really had the best of teams, but hopefully Jaden Edwards can provide a spark. He can be that scorer that they need, and hopefully lead them into the tourney this upcoming year. Jaden Edwards, number 7 here on my underrated transfer pickups. Number 6, we got a pickup by Mississippi State, and that is going to be Jaden Eps from Georgetown. Last year he averaged 12 points per game, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and he is going to be a very wonderful backcourt pairing with Josh Hubbard, who is going to be returning for his junior year. Josh Hubbard, I'm a huge fan of him and his game, leading Mississippi State to back-to-back NCAA tournaments and putting up some big numbers in those tournament games. Even though they haven't gotten very far, he's really helped them. And I do think that Mississippi State is going to be a super underrated team this year in the SEC with this backcourt. The only question mark is it's a little bit undersized for a backcourt. You know, Josh Hubbard, you know, in itself is an undersized point guard. Jaden Eps is probably going to be playing the 2 and is about 6'2". So a little bit lacking on the size there, but they are going to have a ton of scoring, and they're still going to hustle and play some defense there. So hopefully Mississippi State can maybe get to Sweet 16 this year. I'm really hoping, because I'm a big fan of Josh Hubbard, and it's probably going to be his last year. I was surprised he came back. I thought he was going to enter the draft this year. So hopefully they can get it done. Now, heading into the top 5, we got Kion Evans, the transfer from Colorado State, heading over to North Carolina to play at Chapel Hill for the Tar Heels. He was a sophomore last year, averaged 10 points per game, 3 rebounds and 3 assists, and shot 44% from the 3. He had some big games in the 2 tournament games that Colorado State were in this season. He just played great in those games. He was excellent. A great 3-point shooter, like I said, shot 44% from the 3, and I think he is going to be a very underrated pickup, especially being only a sophomore heading into his junior year. So has 2 years of eligibility remaining to play at Chapel Hill. I think that is going to be an excellent pickup for North Carolina. Next up at number 4, my top 4, I'm very high on these guys. I think that super underrated pickups this offseason, but I think are all going to have a massive impact. And number 4, we got Malachi Smith, the transfer from Dayton. He played the last 4 years for the Flyers. This year, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and shot 38% from the 3. He's heading over to UConn. Now, the only reason he's number 4, not higher on this list like the other 3 guys, is I'm unsure if he is going to have that massive of an impact, only because UConn has so many good players already on their team. So he might be a bench player, but I honestly expect UConn to be competing for a Final Four and for a national championship this year. They have such a good roster, and I think that even if he's coming off a bench, he is going to have still a high impact role off of the bench and is going to help UConn a ton this year. So I still think he's a very underrated transfer. I don't see many people talking about UConn picking up Malachi Smith this offseason, so he comes in here at number 4. Number 3 is a guy that I love watching play basketball. I really hope him the best because he is a transfer from my favorite team, the West Virginia Mountaineers, and he was a center, and that is Amani Hansberry. Now, he was only a sophomore this past season. He's heading into his junior year for Virginia Tech. Transferred down to Virginia Tech to follow assistant coach Chester Frazier, who left and took the job down at Virginia Tech because Darren DeVries left. A whole story that just sucks as a WVU fan, but can't blame Amani Hansberry for following the coach that did recruit him. Last year he did average 9 points per game, 6 boards per game, and is a very good stretch 5. He can stretch a 5. That was one of the best plays for West Virginia, was just running a little bit of motion into the pick and pop right to Amani Hansberry. So he is huge on shooting. He's a pretty good rebounder for his size at about 6'8", 6'9", so he really played the 4 or the 5, and I think is a very, very underrated transfer pickup this offseason. I think he's going to be very good for Virginia Tech this next season. Next up at number 2, we do got KJ Lewis, a transfer from Arizona. Now, I don't see anybody talking about KJ Lewis, but I think is going to be a super impactful player this upcoming year. He transferred over from Arizona to Georgetown, averaged 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists this past season, and was only a sophomore. And he does need to work on his 3-point shooting for sure, but everything else, defense, mid-range, driving to the rack, rebounding for a wing, super impressive. And I'm a big fan of KJ Lewis's game. So if he can start knocking down a few more 3-pointers and become a threat from behind the line, I think KJ Lewis is going to be a star this upcoming season for the Hoyas, and especially playing for Coach Cooley. I think is going to be an awesome spot for him. So KJ Lewis comes in here at number 2 on my underrated transfer pickups this season. And last but not least, we'd have my number 1 underrated transfer pickup. This is a player that I don't see many people talking about, and because their team also picked up some other good players this offseason as well, Will Wade is building a great team for the Wolfpack, and that is Terrence Arseno from Houston, transferring over to NC State. Only averaged 6 points per game last year and 2 rebounds, but he's a great defender. As you know, you have to be if you are going to play for Coach Kelvin Sampson. I think it's going to be another excellent piece to NC State. He's probably going to be a starter that I think NC State is for sure going to be a tournament team this year. I think Will Wade is flipping them around real quick with this one-year rebuild, and it would surprise me if they aren't a top 5 team in the ACC next year, if not even higher. So I'm very excited for this NC State team. They also picked up guys like Darian Williams, and I think they're going to be a super solid team. Almost got PJ Haggerty. That would have put him way over the top, and I would have been very hyped about this, but I'm still pretty hyped about it. I think that they're going to be super good, and this is only going to be year 1 under Will Wade. So look out for the future of the Wolfpack. I think he's going to do excellent things with their basketball program, and that's my top 10 underrated transfer portal pickups this offseason. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this, and we got more coming for you guys. Don't worry. Subscribe if you guys are new. We're getting there close to 10,000 subs, so hopefully we can hit it early next college basketball season. But subscribe if you guys haven't already. If there is an underrated transfer pickup that I didn't list on this top 10, let me know down below in the comment section. And you guys, thank you so much for watching.